the special board meeting that's being held this Thursday.
Oh.
Pam has the agendas, and we can start, I think, if it gets to be 1:30, we're almost at 1:30. She'll be along with them, but we can,
Do you want me to go get it?
No, that's all right.
she knows she should be here any second. I know she has them and has everything, but I was just thinking we could start because there's announcements and things that are routine on the agenda, and then when she gets here,
Yeah.
we could pass the agenda out, if that's okay with everyone. It is 1:30, so why don't we start the meeting? And I was just saying, we could start and do get through the announcements, and
Is it
then...
1:30?
It is.
I think it's
So,
Waiting for the agendas.
we can call the meeting to order.
Quorum is present.
And we have a quorum present. It's unfortunate that we are missing 3 right now, Mary Ann, Chris, and Susan.
Susan is ill.
Right.
I don't know about Mary, I haven't heard from her.
I haven't either.
Probably come in.
And Chris was in touch and said that he isn't able to make it. Business.
Right. And we have Nancy Levine here from the Friends, and we have Diane Crory here.
Would somebody pass
And-
one down to,
Yep, Bob has an extra one there. There's
no,
an
I think
extra.
Louise has two.
I have two.
No, that's-
Mine is paper.
What about the one that's in front of you on the
That's
table?
something else.
Is there something else?
No, you have 2, Bob, I
No,
think.
One down there.
That's something else.
That's something else.
Oh, I'm sorry, there are
Yes,
2, yeah.
Bob has 2.
Okay, I had 2, but I didn't know it.
That's all right.
Everyone have an agenda now and the packet? Okay. So, George Jr., I don't think so. I think he's preoccupied.
We don't provide back packets for the audience.
But welcome, both Nancy and Diane. We're very grateful that you're here. And I'll just go through, I think we have talked about the staff present and the guests present. And I think everyone knows Nancy and Diane. And a reminder that this is an open meeting, and we need to adhere to the rules and regulations that govern open meetings. So, announcements. Any announcements from any board members? Yes,
I
Bob?
don't know whether this is an announcement, but I'd like to say something to the board. I wasn't here last month, and I did the minutes from the 2.5, 2 3/4 hour CD. And I think every one of you ought to take that CD, and I think you ought to sit through it without getting up, same as you would in a board meeting, and realize how much time we diddle around. And really, it's amazing. And I wouldn't want you to look at it to see what somebody else is doing wrong, but look to see what you could say that needed to be said and what you might have done differently to shorten the meeting. It was I watched it live first, then I watched the CD, so I did it twice. And I don't ever want to have to do that again. Just a comment, and
Thank you.
but it is, it's amazing. We don't realize it when we're here, but it can be, it was much too long, and there were
Gave
too
one
many
to Mary.
things that were said over and over
I
and over.
gave one to Mary.
Just so that you know, watching it from the outside was really interesting.
Well, actually, you didn't have to watch from the outside. I agree with you, and I was right here.
Thank you, Bob. Other announcements from board members? Then, I would like to piggyback, actually, on what Bob just said. And I've given a lot of thought to it, and that meeting actually resulted in 2 red flags for me. And one was the fact that we had a problem with somebody stepping up to take the minutes, and that was disturbing. And the second, I think, was the frustration and, the length of the meeting, as Bob just alluded to. We didn't stick to being focused and succinct and to the point, and it was a frustrating meeting. I think everybody would agree with that. So my thing was to take those 2 things and think about how can we try to make them better and improve upon that, to avoid it happening again. So I'm going to ask for your cooperation and support today as we open this meeting. If you check Robert's rules, I do believe it includes a statement to the fact that each board member gets to speak to an issue of discussion, of whatever's being discussed at the time, once, but all board members then get an opportunity before somebody else speaks again to the same issue. So I'm going to try to stick to that today as we go along, and I would really appreciate your help in trying to keep us focused and on topic. That would be great. George, do you have an announcement now?
Yeah. Town administrator said that the town does not use Robert rules. That's been brought up a few times, and Bob can vouch for that with regard to certain things. So he said the town does not use Robert rules, period.
I think we need to look at our rules and regulations. I think it says that in there, so.
I think it's a good rule, whether it's Roberts or
Right.
Burgess.
Well, I'm just telling you what the town administrator said.
Okay, we can look into that, but thank you for sharing that with us. That's helpful.
I know Robert rules, and we was using it, and I was the
Yeah.
chair at the time,
Yeah.
and he says, it's out, we don't use it.
Okay, then we need to I'll do some research on that. Thank you. So,
But what about the merits of the idea?
Well, the merits of the idea is that, in any meeting, I mean, it should be cordial, and it should be run smooth as possible. So, I mean, whether it's Robert rules or not, that's the chair's responsibility to control the meeting.
No, I mean to the issue that rather than a person speaking repeatedly on a subject, that other people get a chance to speak to a subject before someone speaks a second and a third
It
time.
wasn't so much that as it was people saying the same things over and over, which we have said at other meetings, which didn't need to be beaten into the ground, that just kept expanding the meeting and expanding the meeting. And we need to be more efficient.
thank you, Bob.
And that's more than just the chair, that's everybody being conscious of it.
And thank you. I would like to borrow that CD, I think, and look at it myself, so.
Another thing.
All right, I think, this is an announcement.
Yeah, the other thing is that we had the question that came up about the fact that, certain thing was missing in the minutes. And all you have to do is do a typical recapitulation of what was said will be in the minutes. You don't have to have verbatim, word for what it said and so forth and so on. As to this was said, that was said, shouldn't that be in there and so forth. So, it doesn't have to be in there, as long as the subject matter is there and there's some clarity as to what it is.
I think we're talking about our conduct at the meeting and not the minutes, though.
No, but what he's talking about is we took 20 minutes at the beginning of the meeting last time, talking about the minutes, and George is absolutely right. And I wasn't
Okay.
going to say that because I'm the secretary, but...
And I don't want to take 20 minutes for announcements here and go over this, but I think we're all understanding the intent of this, to try to help each other and keep us all on track. And I do need your help. I'm not, yes, I am the chair, and it is my responsibility, and I accept that. But I would appreciate your help and support. Thank you. All right. Now, I would ask the board, before we get into accepting the minutes and everything, prior to that, Diane Crory is here to help us and bring information. I know for, as far as Patty goes, if there are things about open meeting law changes, she will address that and help us with that, or if you have questions about that. But I would ask your consideration about moving her up on the agenda. Right now, she is down item D under new business,
I make a motion that we move it to the front of the agenda.
to the very front of the agenda.
Yeah.
Thank you. And that would mean you're specifically saying before we do old business.
Well,
that what
before
you're-
we do the minutes, I think.
You want her to, okay, I'm fine with that. May I have a vote on that? It has been moved and seconded that she goes to the top of the meeting.
Right.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, I think. No one opposed? Okay. Well, welcome, Diane, and thank you for coming and taking time. We all know that you're swamped, so,
Want to work with the voter participation part of it, or? You want to work with the voter participation part of it, or? So, one of the things that Patty's been coming into the office and discussing the voter participation and how we can make things better for the seniors. And Chris has also been coming down and speaking with me. And what we've given you today is the overview of the parking lot at the middle school. And if you look at it, and if you hold it where the writing is at the top, you look to your right, where the white building is, that's the actual middle school.
Good.
Okay. Over here, you have what's our sign that we put out, and it says temporary senior parking only. So if you look to where the school is, okay, where the first set of cars are, that whole section is all temporary senior parking only. Okay, so we can get probably 15 or 20 cars in there, okay? Most of the time, there's probably about 5 or 6 cars that are parked in there at a time, because it takes you about 10, 15 minutes to go in, vote, come back out. This sign here, we have 2 of these signs as you pull into the driveway.
Could I ask you a question,
Yeah,
Diane?
sure.
Are we talking about town meeting now, or are we talking
Both.
about the elections?
Both,
Okay,
so it's for both.
all right.
So if we, for elections, that, temporary parking is for coming in and out for elections, they're in there for about 15, 20 minutes. This sign, there's 2 of these, it says, pull forward for temporary senior parking for elections. They pull in, they pull out. But this actually tells them to come up, pull forward, there's where your election parking is. Okay, so for elections, this is what you're gonna be looking for. One year, we actually had some young gentlemen and women from the Explorers that were kind of standing out there and letting the seniors know where they could be parking. They kind of didn't like to be interrupted. They were kind of like pulling in and parking wherever they wanted to. So it's still kind of a progress in motion. We're trying to get the seniors to understand that just because there's parking spots in certain areas, that we actually have other areas that you can park. We have these signs that say temporary handicap parking, voter parking. So along the parking area, if you look, where our actual regular parking area is, this very front row, there's only like 4 handicap spots. This whole area is now handicap spots for everybody that has a handicap spot. So what used to happen is we only had 4 handicap spots. Now that whole area is all handicap spots during town meeting and town elections. So we've increased for those two times. So now you've got 20 handicap spots. Okay, so we've increased that. Yes.
The 20, you're talking about from 4 to 20?
Mm-hmm.
Plus the temporary that you're making along the front there?
Yep, so that second section, this middle section right in through here,
Right.
is all seniors. Okay, and then if you come closer to the building on this side here, that is going to be for handicapped as well.
So in
They'll have
total,
these signs as well.
so in
Even though this
total,
says half hour, there's another sign.
so in total, what do we have for increase on the space?
So 20 of these, and then we're gonna have there's another 8 right beside the building. And then you've got at least 15 for just seniors.
It's pretty good improvement from 4,
It's not a perfect system, but we're trying to, get the numbers up,
I think that's really great, yeah.
That's great.
Exciting.
We're getting there.
Yes, yes.
The other thing is we're going to be changing, we're going to be getting some more signs that say, signs like this that'll say senior parking only.
Oh, that'll be helpful. That'll really be helpful, I think.
So that's our next, this will be available for both the election and the town meeting, the May town meeting.
Excellent.
So it will be advertised before the town meeting so that people can say, oh, I'll go this year.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be in the May broadcaster.
Yeah.
The May broadcaster should get there before May 1st, and town meeting is
Yeah.
May 4th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Mark Corey and I have been working together, and we're trying to do a quick little show ahead of time, so it'll also be on cable,
Oh, great.
so that, that'll be another way of advertising it out there.
That's wonderful.
So it's kind of a positive step. Also, we've been talking, Patty and I have been talking as far as seating at town meeting. And I have been in touch with the fire chief as far as making more area where we have right now, where the cart area is, where the screen is. And she's asked if we could increase the number of seats there. So we are going a little bit wider. And I just need to leave 6 feet between the, where the benches are in back, the bleachers are, and the seating. So I can probably increase 2 more rows behind where the seats are right now, and we can probably go two rows to the side. So we have been able to increase that side. And Patty has also asked if we can do the wireless mics, and Mark has asked his board if he can order wireless mics, so Barbara can.
I'm sorry.
Barbara can address that, I think, that the board, legal advisory, hasn't gone to them for money, so that's in the works. I know that it is.
I was paying attention, I was writing down what you
Okay.
were saying.
So I know that,
And then you wrote your name, and it was like, oh, wait, she's talking about me.
but I do know that that is in the works, and he's hoping to get that for this town meeting. So what the hopes is that the seniors who are sitting in that area won't have to get up, go into the center aisle,
Stand.
and be standing for a long time. And that's another plus for the seniors.
Fantastic.
That's wonderful. Such wonderful cooperation.
That's what
It
we're-
really is. Yes, Joyce?
Just want to ask a question about the mechanics of it.
Yes.
It was mentioned how they're going to operate in letting people speak.
As far as,
You got
Comes
people at the mic, there's standing at the mic there, and you got the seniors, and you got the remote.
so the town moderator has already been informed, and we've asked him for his cooperation. And so basically what will happen, it will be an alternate. So if he sees somebody who has a wireless, then he will alternate between the person standing at the microphone and a senior, or whoever is sitting at that area.
Sounds fabulous.
Very, very exciting. And heartwarming. It
Big
really is.
changes,
It
yeah.
is. They're great changes, and it's just heartwarming at how quickly it's all been able to be
Right.
happened. So,
Thank you.
Amazed
Thank
at how
you.
quick this all went up.
yes, and thank you, Patty and Chris. I mean, they've done a tremendous job with this.
Great job, Diane.
Patty's been into my office several times, so.
Are you suggesting that she badgered you?
No, absolutely not. She actually just said, would come in and ask, and how is it going, and have you gotten any responses from anyone, and just to be sure that I, kept on track. 'cause-
Well, we appreciate your coordinating it all, because this is.
Diane, you've been very cooperative, and we worked well together.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we made a good team, and I appreciate your help.
And so on another note, so just open meeting law, I just caution, because I know a lot of people are very quiet during meetings. And I just caution when you leave here, that sometimes we forget that we kind of get together after meetings, that we be very careful that we don't get together as a group, and, we don't always get together as a quorum, but sometimes we get together as 4 or 5 people and start talking, but all of a sudden now we get together as a bigger group, that we don't get together as too big of a group and become a quorum and start discussing things that are happening in our meeting that we don't want to discuss in front of open meeting, because we're afraid that we might be shot down or become intimidated. So you want to be careful of, what you say outside of your meetings. Because, what you say outside here, you may think is okay, but you may be violating open meeting, so just a word of caution.
Does anyone want to ask Diane about contents of minutes, since that was such a hot topic last time?
That's a
I
good
didn't hear
question.
you, Pam.
Would anyone like to ask Diane about contents of minutes, since that was such a hot topic last time? How detailed the minutes must be?
George?
I don't think that, that the minutes, have you had any problem with the minutes?
So like you said earlier, minutes don't have to be so detailed that it gets into the nitty-gritty of every conversation. And George said this, and Pam said that, and, Louise said that. It really needs to be the gist of what the actual topic is. And, detailed is best, but so detailed that it goes overboard doesn't have to go there. You really, you don't also want to go to a one-liner either, because you really need to understand what the conversation was, so that somebody who's reading it understands what really came out of the topic. It used to be that the one-liners just didn't work, and because people who have questions about, excuse me, what you're actually talking about would have to come back and come to the next meeting and start asking everybody here, what actually were you talking about? Because I don't understand what the minutes are saying. So you want to err on the caution of giving a little more information, but not so much that people aren't going to read them either.
But it's not necessary to write down every single thing that's said, and that this person said this, and this person said that.
Exactly. And if your secretary or clerk or whatever your title is not here, I understand that you are being recorded, but it's also a good idea that if your chair asks for somebody to step up and take the minutes, it's a good idea for somebody to step up and take the
Yeah,
minutes.
you didn't see the minutes from last time.
But,
No one stepped up.
and so that's, sometimes that's a better idea. I mean, you do have backup, but it is nice to have somebody who is willing to do that.
That's very helpful, thank you.
Thank you, Diane.
Yes. We have other questions for Diane, so that she can move on into her day.
If there's any other signs or anything that you're looking for, I will be ordering them next week, so.
Okay, we
I
can
hate
have
like
one with Bob Stetson right at the,
The back of the.
I hate
parking
going
lot.
down to the Russell School in order to go to town meeting.
Well, that would be over at the Russell School, right?
Anything, my office can help you with, please don't hesitate to ask.
Thank you. You've done
Yes,
wonders.
thank you very much.
Very much.
I did have one more question for you. There was a time when you were trying to organize an educational session around open meeting law.
Yes,
Any chance of that happening in the near future?
sure. Before town meeting or after?
Oh, no, not before town
yeah.
meeting.
Sure, we can do something informational in June, be happy to.
I think that would be really helpful for people who have questions about it. I have another board, and there's several people there that are new to boards and they have questions.
Absolutely. Be happy to.
Okay, great, thanks.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you
Take care.
again. All right. What a great way to start a meeting and to move on, right? That's great. So, let's move on to the minutes, or the infamous minutes from our last meeting. And you all have had a copy of them, and thank you, Bob, really, ever so much for getting them done from that CD. May we have a motion to accept the minutes?
Make a motion to,
Louise already made a motion. I'm sorry, she didn't speak up, but I heard her, because I'm sitting right next to her. She made a motion.
I second the,
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. All right. Friends report. And Barbara's sitting over there taking notes copiously earlier, so,
I'm paying attention now.
okay.
Well, could I ask what we're doing?
We're on the Friends report.
Oh, okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I just wanted to say that the Friends have been working hard, and we arranged all of our programs for the next year, and they sound pretty good to us. And we have some intergenerational things going on, so I think I'm going to let Nancy talk about that. These are her babies, so.
The Girl Scouts are coming back. They had so much fun at bingo. They will be coming back again.
Who?
The Girl Scouts.
Okay.
and they're coming back to do two things. One is they're going to have a spring fling, that they call it. They're going to have games and snacks and maybe some crafts for us to do. The second thing they want to do is to make lunch for us. And they gave me the date, and it's May 27th. And they already know that the kitchen, the diner, the senior diner, might not be available. So that is in quotes, but they are very excited about coming back to doing
Excuse me.
this. The other thing is the Parker School, the charter school is coming back, or 2 visits.
Excuse me, at May 21,
27th.
27. Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
The Parker School students are coming back this year. They were with us last year. And this year, they're coming back, and they're going to be doing a craft, and the craft was introduced here at the craft programs on Monday, and it's a paper bowl. So they're gonna be making a paper bowl out of scraps from magazines. And the second visit, we're going to be finishing those bowls and having a pizza party. I think that's it. Okay.
Thank you.
The notices are published on the walls, so if you're interested in attending any of them, please do.
Yes, and if you are interested in some of these things, you have to sign up pretty early because in a couple of cases, we can only have 11 seniors.
Parker School.
For the Parker School. We're going to have a student and a senior working together. And the other things, they sign up pretty fast, so whenever you're ready, you can let us know. Yes, Louise?
Where do you sign up?
For the Parker School, you sign up at the COA office.
Okay.
For the Girl Scouts, it's downstairs.
In the diner.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
And how about your entertainment program?
Follies. The Follies.
Follies.
The Follies.
The what?
The Follies.
Are April 26th.
Oh, that.
It's a
Why do I
Sunday.
keep forgetting?
Are we having follies?
You might remember if I told you I'm one of the stars. George remembers that, right, George?
Yeah, so, yeah, that's coming up pretty soon, and we have sold, Barbara Cam knows about how many tickets are gone already. I think it's like 250? Not yet?
Well, yeah, actually.
Well, we could only fit 200 in there.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the
Got
big
extra
news.
seats from the superintendent. They're out in the parking lot.
Those are the 2 she sold me, right? Under my sign?
Standing room only.
Yeah.
From what I understand regarding that, the middle school said to the superintendent, we have no problems putting in 300 chairs. The problem is, we're short 70.
Wow. Well, I think, I'm sorry, I was just going to say, reiterate though, that if people are interested, they need to make sure they get their tickets ASAP because they have gone very quickly.
They went very
So,
fast.
yes.
Barbara Pam, and realize we haven't done any advertising.
Right.
It was a little bit.
I know, I brought it up in church one day and announced
that's
it.
what you brought it, okay.
So-
Barbara was very active downstairs.
Okay.
Barbara, I'd heard that the Friends was working on their mission statement.
Yes.
It's
Had-
done.
You've completed that?
Yes.
Is that public? Are you going to share that?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, yeah.
Where
I'll
can
get you
people
down.
find it? Okay, great,
Yeah.
thanks.
In fact, that might be a good thing to put in the manual, to add to what you have in our manual, our new members manual. So if you wouldn't mind, we could do that.
No problem.
I think it would be appropriate.
Sure.
So. Anything else? Any other questions for the Friends, or anything else you need to, or would like to share with us? All right.
Well, if you got everything for the next year, what are we doing?
We have to be honest, I have to get the information to make sure we can have the multi-purpose room.
Yeah.
And once I get that information done, I'm gonna give that to Pam. So
Excellent.
Pam will have the dates, so we won't be in conflict with something else she's planning.
Wonderful.
And it's all in the works.
We'll let you know.
Great, thank you. All right, moving on to old business. Patty, the first item is improving, going back to some of the, improving access to town meeting for the seniors, and you have a report from the subcommittee. I know the subcommittee has been very busy, obviously. They've accomplished so much, really, in a very short period of time.
Subcommittees means you really can accomplish a whole lot, because you focus on one thing, and you put your mind to it, and schedule a couple meetings. Hopefully you got copies of the minutes. We had 2 meetings on March 13th and April 2nd, and you can see the results today. We've increased, obviously, the parking from 4 to almost 30-some parking places. That's a tremendous improvement for the seniors. And to increase the seating is a big thing, not climbing up on the benches, to increase 2 more rows. So the summary, you have the report, and Chris and I have been communicating back and forth. Diane affirmed the parking, you see the signs. She affirms with the fire chief to increase the rows. Microphones on order, and I had spoken also with Tim Goddard and how he's going to alternate back and forth if a senior has their hand up so that they will not be forgotten. Diane came, as you saw. Pamela, as well as Chris, were in communication with Nancy Morrison, and they have 2 potential students to be available the night of town meeting to provide for the service of microphone to the seniors, and they'll get a little advanced training that night. Probably don't need much because they're very technical anyway. Transportation, Pam had provided this at the subcommittee meeting, that service will be available by the van, by pickup appointments to both town meeting and town elections to be made by the dispatch. Publicity is going to be in the broadcaster, which Pam mentioned earlier today. And the subcommittee is not going to go away, unfortunately. We're still going to be sticking around, putting our nose out in the public. At the town meeting, I'm sure Chris will be there. Unfortunately, I can't. But we'll observe how the improvements were impacted, whether seniors take advantage of the service, whether they sit down front, whether they utilize the microphone. We'll do an assessment of that. Still stay in place and see what we might be able to do next time around as well. Listen to what they have to say, get some input, and meet again in the fall to see what we might change, improve, alter. So keep your ears open when you go to town meetings so you can give the subcommittee some feedback.
Great work. Yes, Bob?
I would move that the board accept the recommendations of the subcommittee for the town meeting and moderator and those of the town clerk as approved by our board.
The second
Discussion.
question to the director, how's the transportation going to be paid?
Pardon?
How's the transportation going to be paid?
I'm going to pay it out of our budget and the fact that we're doing the appeal right now for transportation. Monies have been coming in from the appeal.
So, long-range plan, does that mean that we're going to continue to pay it out of the budget?
I think we'll have to evaluate that each time. I don't know what the budget's going to be for next year, for example.
My only concern with regards to that, since this is a town, election, I would think that we should, this money may run out as far as this appeal that we have, asking people to give donation. And what we're trying to put in is a permanent fixture here. And if the van is going to be used like that, I think that the town needs to be made aware that somewhere along the line, it's a function of the town and not that the COA. We may have the mechanics for doing it for the town, but I think that the town ought to furnish the cost there.
It seems to me that we need to take it one step at a time, too. I think we've got what's happening now for this town meeting and election coming up in place, and then as the committee is willing to modify and look back and see how things went, that includes, is it going to be possible, the use of the dispatch, of the van?
I
So,
think that would be a consideration to submit to the subcommittee.
correct, I think so, too. That is something that maybe you
Consider
could
it
pick up.
submitted.
It's submitted, yes. But it's another, because that is part of the whole process, and so it should be a subcommittee task to take a look, work with Pam, and monitor that. Thank you, George. That's nice that you brought that up, though, to clarify.
Can
I
I
think.
respond to that?
You may.
So I think timing is a really important thing to consider, and I would just bring everyone's attention to the fact that this year, the town has been very generous with us. They gave us Tina's 10 extra hours. They gave us $16,000 extra in our budget when they started covering the cost of my salary and freeing up that $16,000 to be used out of the MART budget for drivers. They gave us $35,000 to do the needs assessment. So I think that this might not be the best time to say to them, by the way, we would like $125 to pay the driver's salaries for town meeting and the election. I'm with Marge that I think we should just deal with this on a case-by-case basis, see where we are each time, and see if
Whether
we're
it's
really
used.
that short.
And also, I think to let the subcommittee kind of work with you and get the information and then bring it back to this group. Yes.
Madam Chair, I'd like to address to that. It's just that in the past, that the town has put a lot of requirements on the COA to do things that's a function of the town. And I'm just simply saying, irregardless if we got money to do it, how much money they give it, all these things that they funded and did, it was the town responsibility in the beginning. It was never the COA responsibility to function or the Friends' responsibility to support
Okay.
paying the salary.
Marge,
Thank you.
if I could respond
Please
to
don't
that,
cut me
please.
off, Madam Chair. Unless you're going to put time on people talking, please don't cut me off. Thank you.
Madam Chair, but
Yes, Patty.
we had a discussion at the beginning of this meeting, that if I'm not wrong, you can correct me, that we were discussing an agenda item, and you said, correct me if I'm wrong, that one person would speak, and then you said that when that person finishes, you were waiting for other
Correct.
people to speak up. What if nobody else is speaking up?
I made a mistake, I think, then, if that was the case, and I apologize. So,
If I could.
I'm just,
you're right, and I fully intend to stick to that. So I need to do a little bit better job at monitoring it, I think. Thank you. And right now, I know Pam has spoken a couple of times, and she would like to respond to George, and then I think we will move on. This item is going to the subcommittee, and it's not an issue that needs to be decided today, so respond to George, and then I think we will move on.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do not wish to respond to George.
I'm
I
sorry.
wish to make a correction of fact. I am the Director of Elder and Human Services, which is a town department, and I am budgeted through the town to provide certain services in this town. The money that I use to pay for things like the van is not COA money. It is Elder and Human Services money. And the money that is used from MART to pay for transportation specifically is through an agreement that is signed between MART and the Board of Selectmen. And I just offer that to you to make sure that you understand the facts of how the budgeting process works. The COA has no budget. You are not an entity that is separately budgeted.
Thank you for pointing that out and catching us all, making sure that we're all on the same track, and that is accurate, so. We need to take a vote. I do believe that's where we got into this, that we were discussing the motion that Bob made. Do you want to reread that motion, Bob, please?
All I said was the board voted to accept the proposals of the subcommittee with our
Right.
approval to implement all the items.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Okay. Thank you. All right. We have an update on the kitchen project, which I believe should be brief. We've had
This
a
will
little...
be very brief.
Yes.
So you all received notice that there is going to be a meeting on Thursday with Joe Calintro, who is the chair of the PMBC. The kitchen project is a PMBC project. We are the department, Elder and Human Services is the department that they are performing this project for. Joe has some family issues, and that's why he needed to meet on Thursday. He was not able to come today. He was very apologetic about that. But he said to me that in the meeting on Thursday, he hopes to have a timeline for us. So I'm very optimistic that we're going to see some good information on Thursday. The meeting is at 11 o'clock, and it is a posted meeting because, just what Diane said, if a majority of you show up at that meeting, that would be an illegal meeting. So I posted it. You don't have to come unless you want to come. That way we're covered either way. The meeting will go on regardless of how many of you come.
It's here, isn't it?
No, it's in room 230. Oh, no, I'm sorry, that one is in this room, right. I was thinking of another meeting. You didn't receive the agenda?
Pardon me?
You didn't receive the agenda?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And Louise, I made a copy of the agenda for you because you don't have email.
Okay.
Thank you. So, I hope to see as many people as possible at that meeting on Thursday, hopefully. So, but we'll get the information that we were seeking to have available for this meeting, and we tried, but we couldn't make it happen, so. That's the next best thing. All right, moving on. Update on the needs assessment project.
Want me to do it?
Want me to talk about that?
Yeah, sure.
So the needs assessment project is going on pretty close to the original timeline. We have come to agreement on the survey instrument. It's going to be 8 pages, and there's a lot of information and a lot of questions in there, but the group is in agreement that this covers some real ground that we want to cover. There will be, just to give you an idea of the process, everyone over 50 in town will receive a postcard alerting them that the needs assessment will be coming. Then they will receive the needs assessment, and then there will be follow-up that is done by the Gerontology Institute, again, paid through our contract with them. And we will also do some follow-up using senior tax workers, just kind of nudging people and making sure that they have returned their needs assessment. I'm also going to ask for permission to put signs like this out in front of Town Hall and on the Common once the needs assessment goes out, reminding people to please return your needs assessment. And then they will start work on the collating of the information.
Yes, Nancy?
Pam. Question for Pam. Will the needs assessment survey also be online?
No. It goes to an individual person and then is returned by that individual person. The issue with putting it online is that a person could fill it out 100 times.
Mary?
You will be able to take the survey online and complete it. And there will be instructions as to how to do that if you want to do that rather than on paper.
Did you want to say something, Mary?
No, I was just alerting Pam that Nancy
Oh.
wanted to talk.
Thanks, thank you.
Margaret's running the meeting.
Anyone else? I have to lean back to catch Nancy over there, so thank you. Any other?
It'd take us a while to revamp the original survey, but we did get there.
Yes.
It's an impressive survey, I think.
Yes, it
Very
is.
impressive.
And if I can say something about subcommittees, the town meeting subcommittee, you worked so hard and so quickly on that. I really want to thank you and Chris, for the work that you did, the legwork that you did. But I also want to thank the needs assessment for just what you were talking about. That was hard work for the needs assessment, and you guys just dug in and did it. We would not be sitting here right now ready for it to go to the printers if you had not stepped up and really been involved in the process. So my thanks to those of you who are members of both of those committees.
Just so that you all know, that 8 pages is 8 pages in senior type. It isn't as bad as it looks, about 28 or 29, 30 questions, but they can be answered, many of them very quickly with a yes or no, and a few with fill-ins. So it
Multiple
really is
choice.
not as horrendous as people think. And if they look at it and realize it, they can do it relatively quickly. And and it's wonderful. I'm really, really pleased. I've been on this a long time, back when we were trying to do it ourselves, back when we've done it, and this has just been a wonderful thing to have that ability.
Let me piggyback on Pam's comments, because I think that speaks to, the importance of sticking to something, because as you said, Bob, you've been involved for a long time, working in this direction, and, you've gotten there, and my thanks go out to those people that have worked so hard on subcommittees, so, thank you. Patty, did you have your hand up for something?
No, I was just fixing my ear.
Oh, okay, sorry. Hey, you're on camera, girl.
We sent out the April thing to every person in town.
Yes.
Did we get any negative reactions to that? I'm just curious.
No, interestingly, Bob was just pointing out that the April broadcaster went to every home in Littleton.
get one, no.
Yeah, you should have.
Well, then you need to talk to the post office, because
Yes.
everybody
There
received
was
one.
no names, it was just
Oh, yeah?
every person.
Oh, yeah, everyone.
I'm very surprised if you didn't get it, because lots of people have mentioned it. We've had people call and come to things like the blood pressure clinic that we've never seen here.
That's good.
Yeah, so I really think that it was a good move to do that. The day after it was delivered, I spoke to the Rotary, and several people there mentioned that they had received it as well. People were kind of surprised, but pleased to see what was going on. And of course, again, the comment is, I didn't know you did that, kind of thing.
I didn't get it either.
Needed to compliment Craig.
Wow.
Our post office is just not very good.
No.
It did not have your name on it. Are you sure it wouldn't have maybe gotten thrown away in the junk
Maybe
mail?
Alan-
Because it was blank.
Maybe Alan got it.
Yeah.
It said resident or something, I think, maybe.
Nope, didn't even
No?
say resident on it. It just was delivered as a
Yeah,
blank folded.
folded. It was
I-
cool, yeah.
I'm really surprised that that many of you. I had a team come in of senior tax workers, and we did 3,700 of them, and they were sent to the post office.
Yeah, people came in the second day to work and they were all done.
I don't see the job description in the packets. Did it get put in?
Yeah.
Oh, I missed, I don't know what happened to mine, but anyway, okay. Thank you, yes.
There was one other thing I wanted to say about the
Sorry.
needs assessment. Oh, and just as an anecdote, because I am sure that there are people who have said, gee, why do we need to spend $35,000 to have these people come and help us to do our needs assessment? I maintained from the very beginning that I wanted it to be done professionally, I wanted it to be done right, and I didn't want us to be in the position that we'd put a lot of energy and time into something and then not get good results. And I won't mention the town, but there's a town adjacent to us that decided to do it themselves. They made up their own survey, which had very similar questions in some cases to ours, I've heard. And they sent it out with the town census, so it went to everyone. And then when people returned it with the town census, it was postage due because it made the envelopes too heavy. and they all bounced back to the people who were sending their surveys in. And, that just seems like such a simple error, but imagine the number of people that,
50
if
cents
you
a
got it
shot.
bounced back, would you have then gone to the post office and spent 50 cents to send your survey on your own? Where ours will go out postpaid, and they will be postpaid when they return. So I just offered that as an anecdote of how easy it is to trip up when you're doing something like this, and just one of the many things that they offer us in terms of doing it right.
So how many mailings will it be?
To the over 50s, the request is into the town clerk for the latest census numbers. My guess would probably be about 2,200 or 2,400, but don't write that number down because I'm just guessing. Diane was not able to give us an
that.
exact number yet.
Yeah, it's about 26, something like that. I don't remember.
You think it's 2,600
No, I think that's an old number, I'm just guessing.
of
There's
people
quite a
over,
bit increase.
over what age? Over what age?
That's a good question.
There are 18
55, 60, 65, what is it? 50.
In the 2010 census, there were 1,864 people over the age of 60. I don't think the number was ever calculated of how many over the age of 50. And of course, it's been 5 years since then. So
What's the total town population?
just over 9,000, isn't it? Anybody know that number?
Quite a bit.
All the percentages were given to you a couple of months ago in a piece of paper, so go back and look.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else for the needs assessment? And thank you again. The survey is really impressive, I think. So. All right, moving on to new business. As a part of looking at what happened at our last meeting, it just struck me that this is the time of year we are coming up on next month. A nominating committee has got to be appointed to nominate candidates for the officers of the board. This month, it just strikes me, I know there are some people, myself included, whose term is expiring for the Council on Aging for this year. And that says to me that, it's a good thing to look back at duties and responsibilities, to consider whether or not, for example, myself, whether or not I will have the time in the next 2 or 3 years, anticipated time to commit to a board such as this. And so, looking at the job description, which defines a board member's responsibilities, seems wise. That's why it is on the agenda. You have a copy of it in your packet. So I'm going to ask you to take a couple of seconds to take a look at that. And this is a review only of the job description.
Just so everybody knows, if you want to know what year you're up from your 3-year term, it's on the list on the right-hand side, so you know there are 3 people, Marge Sutter herself, and then there's George Sanders and Barry Curcio, who are up for either renewal, becoming, agreeing to stay on, or having to be replaced.
I'm retiring.
Or retiring.
Retirement.
I don't know if I consider it that, George. Maybe stepping down.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that.
So, take a minute. If people have thoughts or questions about it, fine. But it was just a good time to review it. I think we have key responsibilities listed. And it spells out, pretty well, duties and responsibilities as far as participation goes. So, and I know I find it helpful to review periodically.
Madam Chair, on the new business, I want to make a comment.
Yes, George. I've got you down now for one comment. So,
I want to make a comment. It seems to be that the differential between the COA and the Elder Human Service, when this was set up by the town, the Human Service, Elder Service, it came from the COA. That provision of the law still exists, that we made the agreement with the town to change the name because we wanted to change the name of the director. I know that the COA, as this board, we never had a budget. I know that. But the COA, and when it's referred to as the COA, well, it means that you're talking, in my particular term, you're talking about the Elder and Human Service budget. But to a specific point that we don't have a budget, I know that this board doesn't have a budget. But when I say the COA, it still exists with the town as to how the elder got the department was the changing of the name. But the law still exists that the money that they get in comes in on the council on agents from the state. And I just need Mr. Berkman probably to come and explain that the COA is how the COA and how this board, because if we're not a COA and a part of the town with regards to this as to how the elder service came into the existence, it came into existence because the COA was it was the principal element of the town to make that department.
Thank
And I would
you.
like for Mr. Berkman to, or either I'll write him and ask him to come in and explain.
I
because
haven't-
the misconfusion, the misconcept, I guess, is that when you say COA, it's like, this is not the COA. I understand it's not. You changed the name.
Thank you, George. Anyone have their hand up to speak?
I'm just waiting for you to.
I was just going to make the comment that since I've been on the board for, it'll be 3 years, a couple more months, tremendous changes have taken place. And the Council on Aging has changed from the group that it was to an advisory group, and that all happened since I've been on the board. And we do not have authority per se, we are an advisory group only. So I think that plays a big part into it. Yes, we get a budget report every month to help us understand where money is going and to know, what's happening. But we do not have any authority over that. We don't have authority over the budget to move line items, for example, on the budget. And so I can imagine that it is confusing, but I know, remember, we had people come in, we've worked hard to look at what the state requires and what the state says a Council on Aging board is. And everything that we have done, and developed over the last 3 years has been based on state guidelines and rules, and the state rules and regulations as put forth by Emmett, who is the head of that. So, thank you, though, because it is still, I'm sure it's confusing. I get caught in it myself at times, so.
Shall we move on to what we're actually talking
We
about?
are,
Which is the review of the board member job
If
description.
I could just have one comment.
Pam would like to speak.
Because this discussion has transpired before, and there was an analogy given to me that I found very helpful in understanding the relationship between Elder and Human Services and this board. Bonnie Holston is the head of the Finance Department. The Finance Department has many functions within the town. One of the functions within the town is the Office of the Assessors. The Assessor's Office has a board, an elected board, that works with them. The Board of Assessors only has advisory capacity in relationship to Bonnie for the matters that pertain to the Assessor's Office. All the other matters that are in her department are in another purview. And so Elder and Human Services, and that means that we provide services to people of all ages within the town, has many different things that we are involved with. And you are an advisory board to help me to make sure that in the matters that relate to seniors, like being able to get seniors to town meeting, doing a needs assessment on what seniors need in this community, that I have your counsel in making decisions on that are good decisions. But there are many other aspects of my job that do not come under the purview of anything to do with aging population. Does that help at all to help people understand the relationship between the two?
Yes, could I, Madam Chairman, could
Yes.
I'm the newest young
Member.
woman on the block. I like to say young woman, you know, even though I'm old. And when you gave me this book, I sat and read it, every page. And it's very well done. I have to compliment whoever put it together. I assume it was done by some subcommittee. And it says you're supposed to be active and participatory. Well, I've come to meetings since December, and I don't see that happening. Sorry to say, folks. I don't know how many subcommittees you have. I know I'm on 2. Do we have any others? I have a question. That's a question I have for you.
Would you like an answer right now?
Yes,
We
I
have, we have the membership subcommittee, an active committee, and the membership subcommittee put together the manual that you have.
Okay, who's
Just-
on that?
Barbara
Yes.
and myself, and actually, if you see on your agenda, I am making an appointment, and it is to that committee today.
Okay, so we have 3 subcommittees.
Active subcommittees.
Active subcommittees. Okay. So there are you and me and Bob and Chris, active members of the board on current subcommittees.
Mm-hmm.
And Barbara and Louise.
Pardon me?
And Barbara and Louise.
I have not been notified
And,
of the needs assessment.
what's her name that's not here today?
Susan Dunn.
Susan Dunn.
Susan.
Susan's on the needs
Yeah,
assessment.
she's on that.
Correct.
Um,
And Jean has asked to be appointed to a subcommittee, which will be happening today.
From my perspective, as the new young woman on the block, am I missing something here that we just aren't an active board supporting the director? That's what it looks like to me. Because everybody doesn't speak at these meetings. And last month, we had a horrible time getting somebody to take notes. I will readily admit, I did not volunteer to take notes. I'm hearing impaired.
Right.
I could have volunteered and probably made a few notes, and they might have been okay. But I don't willingly volunteer because of my hearing issues, although I pick up most things. But these are well-written, but I don't think we as a board totally follow them. That's a personal opinion. Now, I can be criticized for saying what I'm saying, and that's okay. But that's the way I feel.
Well, I appreciate your willingness to speak and to bring it up, and, and to look
I
at
mean,
things.
I'm making a statement, and, it's probably something that's not likely taken lightly by a lot of other people. And I just have to say how I feel. I mean, I was on these 2 subcommittees with Chris and the needs assessment with the other board members. And it's the way you get the work done.
Correct.
I mean, you go off, you do the work, you bring the report back, you discuss it, you get input back, and then go off and do more work. It doesn't get done sitting around a table like this.
We are a large group. And
Because what you do, you keep beating the bush, but you don't get anything done. But you do going off by subcommittees.
And that is exactly, I think, why a couple of years ago, subcommittees was an issue of discussion with the town administrator, and what we worked to develop them into, we had a space one, and that one kind of did dissolve. There was
And then
another one.
Pam just sent out this email on training sites, not the most convenient locations, but I said, wow, there's a fantastic thing to go to, and I thought, wow, this was really great. And I thought, are they bringing this up at the meeting today?
We are.
Oh.
Yes, we are. It's on the agenda. Because going to one training a year is a board member's responsibility. Once during the year, it is in the job description that, you attend some training relative to elder or senior affairs. Those trainings put on by Emmett are extremely valuable and helpful, and that's why we're bringing it up, just to let you know. So, and because it is in the job description, and that came out, it was just perfect timing, so.
Where
That's what I wanted to
does
say.
where does it say it has to be once a year?
Um,
I I'm sorry, yes, okay. Keep up with the data and developments in the field of aging and attending a training session at least once annually. Okay,
Yep.
I found it.
Yep.
I'd like to
Yes, Louise?
It's personal, but I do not have email. And I know I'm supposed to be on the needs assessment, but I have never been notified of any meeting. So I've been unable to attend.
I know you were on the subcommittee, though, you're right.
Yeah.
So we need to correct that about,
Louise, I don't want to argue with you, but you have been notified in writing of all those meetings, but let's talk about it offline.
I'm more than willing to.
okay. Is there additional discussion on the review of the job descriptions?
You wanted any
If-
discussion on whether we agree with the job description?
No, we're reviewing them today. If you would like to discuss the content of them, and we can put them on the agenda for next month's meeting.
You're pointing out stuff to me that I paid no attention to when I read it.
It's been voted on, it was,
I've gone to the special sessions, and I agree they're good, but I didn't know I had to go annually.
well, you know, if it's one kind of a training, if you'll read it.
Yeah, but you slip stuff in on me.
Yeah, you could go to a protective services training or something else.
I mean, you know, yes, I'm sure you probably have done some training and you don't think about it that way,
I've gone
but,
to 2 or 3 of them, and I find them very helpful, but I didn't know I had to go once a year.
well, you know, and that actually is a state strong recommendation that all board members do that. The job description was developed from recommendations from the state.
And I voted for it.
As far as a job description goes, these were the recommendations, they weren't just made up by the membership subcommittee. They came from a very good source. Yes, Pam?
And
May I? It
Yes.
probably doesn't pertain and it doesn't fit in, but I have a little bit of a problem. You are the chair and she's the vice, but there are so seldom times that she's notified of anything that's going on.
Well, we
Not true.
have discretion we have some
we're going to
confusion about that,
offline.
so, I mean, you know, we're going to work on that.
Okay.
But thank you. And you wanted to say something, Pam?
I met with Emmett a couple of weeks ago. There was a directors meeting, and Emmett Smarzo from the State Elder Affairs was there. One of the points that he makes and why he emphasizes this part about training so much is how rapidly the world is changing around us in terms of the experiences that people are going through, but also in terms of the people who are newly becoming seniors and should be serviced by us, who have different mindsets and different needs. And what he was emphasizing was the idea that, you pick up a gerontology text from 20 years ago, and it's just not relevant anymore. What they have to say about aging and what happens to people it just has no relevance in today's world. And it's very hard to keep up with trends like aging in place, some of the new housing solutions that are going on for people, some of the advocacy movements that seniors can use in their communities, that they've used very successfully to advocate for things like access to town meeting. He just makes it clear that there's value to getting together with people and finding out what's really going on right now.
And I think, yes, I'm sorry. Nancy, thank you.
Pamela, do you know when Emmett is having another training session?
It's on
It's
our
on the
agenda.
agenda.
We will be bringing that up in a few minutes.
Yep, it's on the agenda.
They're setting us up.
No, I just have to say, I haven't heard from some board members now, before I acknowledge George. Does anyone else like to speak to this issue? All right, George.
Yeah, I just want to speak to this board member job description here. One, I don't see how anybody can compel somebody, for instance, ensuring adequate resources to make a personal financial contribution or any kind of service to the COA. I think you can't tell somebody to give somebody money as a part of the description, and then when you say actively participate in all board's activity, it's almost impossible for someone to participate in everything that the board does. People have a life too. So I don't know why we would go to that extent to say that and saying that's a part of the job description.
Thank you. Anyone else have a comment?
Were these written by the subcommittee and accepted as such?
Yes, they've been,
Thank you.
yes.
Barry, did you?
Yeah, I just want to second what George said. I found that part of the job description in plain English to be offensive, and it has no place in this board to try to impress that kind of a requirement on the members on the board.
Okay. We can talk about, I think, the content, and maybe we, if you would like, we can put it on the agenda for next month's meeting to re-look the content of the job description. You'll notice it does say, I just will point out, it says in-kind contribution, or,
Maybe you should define that.
and maybe we need to, right, define what an in-kind contribution is. It's not financial. So it's an option there. But we can talk about that, and we, if you would like, we will put it on the agenda for next month to discuss the content of the job description.
We have to have a vote on that.
We don't have to vote to put it on the agenda, just recommendations. And it sounds like we have a couple of people that would like that to happen. So, George, is this?
I just wanted to say, it's the way that it's worded here, because it says, make a personal financial
Correct.
contribution, or you
We'll
can do
talk
in
about
kind.
it,
Yeah.
we'll talk about it next month, and we'll put it on the agenda. Thank you.
Come back, tell me how to spend my money.
Okay. Moving on. I'm very pleased, actually, to make an appointment to the membership subcommittee. Jean Johnson has indicated a desire to join the subcommittee and work with Barbara Cam and myself. Barbara and I have been the sole two members. We welcome having a third member who can break us up and when Barbara and I get into an argument. No, we really do. We work well together. But obviously, welcome, Jean. We're grateful that you're willing to step up and help out. There is more work to be done by the membership subcommittee, and I'm sure you will make great contributions.
Thank you.
Make a motion, we appoint her.
I think it's just I have to appoint her, isn't that correct?
Right.
So, thank you. All right, and now come the board training opportunities on the agenda, and we do have that. Nancy was just asking about that.
Look for this sheet in your packet, so if you haven't already located it.
All right,
This is the latest training.
I think I have that.
you all have the
available
packet?
from Emmett.
You didn't all get a packet?
But we have the date we want.
Oh, you have, okay. I wanted to point out, I'm personally am planning on going to the Westminster one because I love the idea of that trip. And it's a great community and it's not getting into a lot of traffic.
You just like the restaurant, that's all.
The note on the next page says if you have questions, contact Emmett.
Oh, that's,
I don't even know where
So-
Lakeville is.
where what is?
I don't even know where Lakeville is.
Oh, Lakeville, I know where that is. It's on the way,
It's down by Middleborough,
Yeah, down
it's
the-
next to
toward-
Taunton.
Middleborough.
If you're going along
way to
down,
the Cape.
well, if you take Route 20, I go through Lakeville all the time on my way down to the New Bedford area, so, yeah, it's about an hour and 15 minutes drive.
And
But-
I would suggest that you try to carpool.
Right, and Westminster is actually about probably 30 minutes. It's easy to find. It's right on the main street in Westminster, so I head out that way a lot because I have family in Gardner, but that's an easy one to access. And I would just encourage people we're giving you the list now, encouraging people to sign up, get your name down, because last year I couldn't get to the one I wanted to go to. So,
true.
and because it filled up so quickly. So I think we need to, you need to be aware of that. Get your name in right away, if you want to go. And September sounds like a great time to me, September
in with
15th. Pardon me?
Name in with,
It tells you the people that you have to call here, the directors.
oh, all right, but I meant with the carpooling, that would take care of
Oh,
it.
well, if you want to check with people to see which one they're attending and see if there's a possibility for carpooling, I would recommend.
Work that out.
Yeah,
So-
that's
Yeah, we
later.
won't do that in
That's
the
later.
Yeah, it is later, but get your name in before you, first things. Oak Bluffs would be great, but it would be an overnight trip. So, and sometimes, I know there was one in Chelmsford last year, that was the one I wanted to go to, and then I was too late. So, lesson learned. You went, I forget, you went to one in,
Yeah,
who else went with you, Susan?
Susan Dunlap.
Yeah. And no matter how many times you go, I've learned something from Emmett each time. There's always something to learn from Emmett. So, it's a great opportunity.
May I ask a question? Do
Certainly.
all the council on aging on this part of the state have this same agenda with Emmett? Why aren't there some more local ones?
He does them.
We had one in
Chelmsford.
Chelmsford a while back. We had another one in,
Groton last year.
You did?
yeah.
Groton.
So they do have them here, too.
'Cause I went to
We had one right here.
There was one here.
We had one, since I've been on the board, and this is my third year, and there was one here my first year, right here in this building.
I went to one in Leominster.
I remember that one. I went to
So,
that-
yeah.
Emmett, yeah.
So I would urge you all to take advantage.
Mm-hmm, okay.
All right, I'm skipping over Diane, I think we've pretty well covered that. And the next item of business is, we know that Bob is not going to be able to be at the meeting next month. So we're trying to plan ahead as to who might take the minutes. And this is a great opportunity, actually, because I think Bob would be willing to talk to you, and help you get prepared if you're feeling uncomfortable about it. I think probably, I know when, I've done it, I don't use the computer. I do use the computer. I don't take the minutes at the meeting on a computer. I take them in longhand and go home and write them on the computer.
Much
So-
easier to take the agenda and just go on it line by line, but that's neither here nor there.
Well, no, but that's,
I understand.
and if we can get a computer, this is Bob's personal computer that he brings in to use, but if the person who wants to take the minutes would like that, is there a computer? We talked.
There is a department computer.
Yep, we can utilize and bring in here and set it up, I'm sure, right? So, also, even if you just get, as Diane Crory was saying, the general gist of the topic of discussion and the outcome, and take it in longhand, anybody, I would be willing to help you, phrase it, or if I picked my brain, if I remembered something that you thought you had omitted, I'm sure Pam would be willing to.
Plus, the meeting is taped. You can always watch the tape.
That's true. So I just want to encourage people, because I'm sure it's a very uncomfortable feeling. I remember the first time I stepped up and did it, I was very nervous about doing it. And
Not nervous at all. Go ahead.
so, I would like to have somebody,
I happen to agree with Bob, because when I have to take minutes at our meeting, I use the agenda, and I write notes by the agenda, and that's how I do the minutes.
but not on a computer, or do you do it
Not
on
on the computer.
No, but that's a good tool to use, I write notes on the agenda all the time here. Yeah. So, you can expand them a little if you know you're taking the notes to put in the minutes, but there's little tricks of the trade, so. I am looking for someone to step up who would agree to take the minutes at next month.
I'm sorry, I was secretary for many years on the board, but with my medical problems at home and so forth, out of 5 days a week, we go to appointments 4 days a week. I'm coming and going. I just can't take on any more responsibility. I'm sorry. I have to decline. I'm still going to PT. I can't take any more.
Okay. I will.
Seriously think about it.
You would seriously think about it? Well, I would seriously encourage you. Because help was out there. You're not alone
even
when
know
it
if I'll
comes
be
to
here
doing
that
that.
day.
So I cannot certainly sit here and take the minutes and still pay attention to what's going
I
on.
know.
But
I
people,
can sit together. I'm not going to Bermuda till the night, so.
Oh, you're going to Bermuda? I've been there tonight.
so he'd be more than willing to help, and you don't have to use the computer. I don't feel computer, I don't think my skills and my typing skills are fast enough to be able to take to put it together here in the meeting. That's why I do it in longhand, and then I put it together. I use, you
You're
know,
the chair, it
so,
wouldn't be.
no,
right
no,
for you
I'm
to
just
take-
saying, when I was doing it, you know, that's what I did, because I was
Somebody
comfortable.
suggested a recorder.
I think that's
Well, you
difficult.
can always use the, this is all recorded.
The tape is not the best
No,
option.
I meant for here,
Yeah,
not the.
But you can get the
other.
CD.
Well, that's what
They
he
can make a
did.
CD.
He used a DVD, a recording of this meeting, to do the minutes last month. That's not good, because if
So
he
when
has a
you're all
question,
gonna sit down for 2.5 hours and look at.
so,
Well, that was a bad meeting to kind of go by.
Chris said if, you know,
Yeah,
if he
Chris
would
said-
be
And Chris
here, he
did.
would do it
so,
on
If
his
he had a
computer.
computer, he
If
said.
not,
all right.
Right.
So I will appoint someone. That is the other thing. I will appoint someone if need be.
Well, maybe someone would
So-
like to talk to you outside the meeting.
And
about
that's
doing
fine.
it.
And and Chris did indicate that, so I think we can move on today. But I want to get it out there. Please consider it. Think about it. We
And I
need
think
to
George
have,
must have left, he might be interested.
he might be, so,
I'm having a problem with my vision, so.
okay. Okay, thank you. Just be aware, we are looking. So, I'm looking for help in that area, so, thank you. All right, and Mr. Crystal is not here today, so we cannot follow up on his, what he found out from contacting the fire department about the surge protectors. So, all right, moving on to the reports, monthly reports. And,
Don't have them.
Don't have them, I forgot to print them out, I'm sorry, I've been ill all week,
Yep.
and I left early on Friday, and I did not print out the budget reports. Can you give us the highlights, Bob?
Okay.
I emailed them to everyone,
yes, you did.
Yeah, there's a copy in my phone.
Yeah, you should have them from the email.
that's
so-
because I didn't print them out, Louise, I'll get you a
And
copy of those.
there's nothing spectacular, everything is pretty much right on. As far as through March, I don't know that there was any item that was particularly a problem. We had, just so you know, 510 people, monthly riders, which is up from 347 the month before, 366 the month before that, and even from the December 506, so we're really up in numbers.
Wow.
We also took in $343 in fares collected. The drivers, 5 of them, it was $5,228.61 in cost, and that's marked, and they're on budget. And the same with the others, there's no outstanding costs that showing up, so.
One question.
If anybody wants to look at it, I have a paper copy here.
No, one question. We discussed possibility of using that paper money that was in there for other reasons, purposes.
That's this one.
Was that done?
That's a different report.
Yes, yes.
Oh,
I haven't gotten to that report
okay.
yet.
That's this one. You have this one in your packet.
Yes, right here.
And we don't have any, let me just remind you, too, we don't have any authority over how money is used. This is just for information purposes that we get these reports. So we have no authority about moving it or whatever. Okay. Bob.
Well, we can make a recommendation to move it. and
Correct.
Then it becomes the department head's job to convince Bonnie, and Bonnie said she didn't want to move it around, she wanted us to spend it. So that was the last issue on that.
Yes.
Nobody's made a decision,
Yeah.
right?
Well, actually, when I went back to Bonnie and I asked her specifically about that amount, which was $800 and some dollars, she said that that had been absorbed back into the general fund. They took that money.
So it isn't there at all.
It isn't there. So there's just an artifact that it shows up on this report. If we had tried to charge something against that, it would have bounced.
Okay, that's interesting. So there is nothing in the account.
No.
Okay.
Okay, that takes care of that. Okay.
Okay,
Next.
There you go.
director's report.
Well, Bob stole all my thunder by telling everyone how ridership is up. If you look on your director's report on the back, I actually put a picture
Wow.
so that you guys can see how things have changed in the last couple of years. This is the month that on the April broadcaster, we are making the appeal and asking people to contribute to transportation, and I'm getting good donations. I've got about $2,500 that's been
Wow.
donated
Wow.
just in the first few days of the month.
How much?
So, $2,500.
That's great.
Wow.
Approximately. I said that I had gone to the Rotary and had spoken to the Rotary. They're very much in support. They will be on the business side. There will be an appeal, a letter that's going to go out to the businesses in town as well. Diane Crory, town clerk, is having a little bit of difficulty getting the census done because there have been so many other issues to deal with recently. As soon as we get those census information, we'll make arrangements to send that. Again, the director's report is always backward-facing. The Charlie Card event, you, Mary, had specifically asked about that. People have been telling me they're getting their cards, and they seem to be
We
very
have,
happy with it.
I was going to bring it up, thank you.
Yeah. So that seems to be progressing. We already talked about the needs assessment. My thanks to the senior tax workers who came in to help with those broadcasters. That 3,600 broadcasters was really tough because they were delivered rather late, and I've been talking with our fulfillment house about that. In general, attendance at everything has really rebounded. February was bad because it was so
Weather,
cold
maybe
and it
weather.
was so snowy. There were lots and lots of people who just didn't come out, or they just canceled out of things. So you can see that 214 different individuals in March visited the Council on Aging. And that number is probably low because for some of the functions, we just put it in what's called a guest category. So if there's 30 people in a room and we don't do a sign-up sheet, we'll just say there were 30 guests, and if there were people in there who didn't normally come, they wouldn't get counted in that. So these numbers come right out of my senior center. Transportation, same rebound as Bob was pointing out after the bad weather. You can see the spike down for January and then back up for March, and then underneath are the real numbers. Again, the automated system that they're using in dispatch for cancellations really seems to be working. There's lots of cancellations, but we'd much rather have a cancellation than have a no-show where we spend all the physical and emotional and fuel energy of getting to someone's house and then have them say that they're not going to go or not be able to find them.
Thank you.
You do a wonderful job, Tina. I mean, I was thinking of Tina for a minute. I don't know how you get around so much and still cover here.
And you also see that in April, we have a very, very busy schedule.
Yes.
There are lots and lots of events happening in April, both our events and some friends and light and water luncheon and what have you. And thank you, Mary, for noticing that we have been busy.
Yeah, that's been.
And also, I don't know if it's different or not, it seems to be different to me, reading it the other day. But our newsletter, just look there, and he sent out.
That's nice to hear. Thank you. I'll pass that on to the editor.
Tina, you're on, but you know what, before, I have to just get this in. There was a lot of discussion last month about the size of the font on your report. I noticed it's bigger here because I think the shading, was that always there? I was looking at it thinking it's a little, it seems to me. But I have brought magnifying glasses for everyone if you'd like. George put in a lot of work to try to modify this, but it is a state form. And there are, when you start enlarging it, then you run into other problems, if I'm not mistaken. And so I do have magnifying glasses if you want to use one to be able to
What's that
read
big
this.
orange one there?
Or there's this one here, too. So there's 4 of these. And if you'd like one, speak up. I'd be happy to share.
I can see it.
Would you like one?
No, I have a suggestion.
Okay.
Tina had a previous format, which was wonderful, all written out.
But that was the
Maybe
state.
she should go,
This is a state form she has to use.
really?
That's what it says. Let's move on.
It's a state form, it is a state form she has to
Oh, okay,
use.
because the one you had previously used was great.
Yeah, but,
Well, it was one time she did that for
Yeah.
someone.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem seeing it.
well, you just had cataract surgery.
Can we have Tina give a report?
Okay, we need to get to the
And
report.
I would like to say that if anyone has a question about a line item on here, Tina is right here, and she would be more than willing to read you the number and explain to you what the category is if you're having any difficulty reading it.
So, just to put that whole issue about not being able to see it and the size of the font, I was just trying to put that to rest. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, then move on.
Oh, wait a minute, Tina may have a few things.
No,
to
no, that's
mention.
right, I'm waiting for her.
Yeah, she was, okay, yeah. Well, March was a long month, a busy month, and it seemed like we still had a lot of winter. But looking ahead, we're looking at a couple of programs that will help people get some outside work done, and in some cases, even some inside work done. And we have the Council of Churches doing outside work for those with a critical need on Saturday, June 13th, upcoming.
That's a new program, right?
It's a new program. We're trying it for the first time. It's a Saturday, 9 to 12, and there'll be teams from the Council of Churches representing all the churches in the Council of Churches. So that's based on need, both a financial and a need for outdoor work. And then the week after that, or June 22nd, the Monday through Thursday, is the 8th year of the Catholic Heart Work Camp. But we're
What?
The Catholic Heart Work
Thank you.
Camp. And we're completing applications early May to be turned in by the end of May, for both projects need. So that's why I'm telling everyone now, in case they have neighbors or elders or people that they're concerned about in the community that would benefit, to let me know. Because I'm still actively doing fuel assistance applications, and in some cases, these are brand new applications, not appeals. So they're people that are coming now, still with that need, and they're trying to clear up a bill from, after November and before this April 30th deadline. So there's still that availability, and I make myself available in the evenings if someone, can only come during an evening time for a meeting.
It was a hard winter for people.
It's been a very difficult
yeah.
winter, and that's what happened with some people, but they know that there's still time, so they're coming now.
And this applies to people of all ages.
Pardon?
This applies to people of all ages.
The fuel assistance, yes, it does, yes.
Fuel assistance is income-based.
Thank you,
Okay, so that's
Tina.
it, thank you.
Oh, Pine Tree Park.
Oh, okay, Pine Tree Park's longstanding, I'd say it was 12-year blood pressure clinic with Neshoba nurses and the Council on Aging together. They'll be having their last one May 28th, Thursday, May 28th. With that, everyone knows that they can come to here, a Thursday one with the ongoing Tuesday one, with Louise and again Neshoba nurses on the second Tuesday of the month. And then on Thursdays now, we have the fire department doing blood pressures too.
Is that advertised? You said everyone knows.
Oh, everyone at Pine Tree Park who participated in the Pine Tree Park
It
one.
should be
they're-
advertised,
they're
yeah.
all aware, and I believe
The
in
town.
this
It
newsletter
will
in
be
May,
in
it will
the
be-
senior broadcaster. This applies, though, only to Pine Tree Park because it was for the Pine Tree
Good.
Park residents, and Tina has notified
Because
all
of the
them.
Action Unlimited has it a lot too, about here.
Yeah, Tina has notified the
Yes,
Pine
yeah.
Tree Park people.
Yeah.
And that's it, but that will be, it was a long-standing one.
Good, yeah.
And,
Yeah,
but
I know.
I think the relationships have been so deeply established that it will continue.
Right.
And
Great.
just in a different
The
location. Thank you.
social daycare, that has really, really grown.
Social daycare is very popular. It's always full, and the
Yes.
caregivers group at the end of the month for the family members, we've had a very robust attendance even through the bad weather.
Yeah.
And that's it, we're even getting more.
That's the people who have these folks that are a part of the,
Right.
And then some other caregivers too.
Right. Tina's been able to expand that, and it includes some people who even have people who are placed and who are coming literally for support from other people that understand what they're up against.
great.
That's wonderful.
How difficult it is when you have someone who has memory
So-
issues.
The people in the daycare, I notice when they come down to the diner, do they each have a volunteer helping them, or do you have enough volunteers? You seem to
I
have.
I think there's 3 volunteers, and then Sally, who is the contractor to run it, yeah.
And one of my volunteers is taking blood pressures once a month down there.
Yeah, that's good.
It's impressive to see them when they do come into the diner.
Yeah, they're a happy
It is.
crowd.
Yeah, they are,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Very happy crowd.
And they are very social.
Yeah.
That's the whole,
Later this month, they're going to the butterfly place.
oh, in Westbend?
Wow, field
I
trip,
bet they'll love that.
I think they will.
Yeah.
yeah.
They went to Indian Hill recently for the box
I saw
lunch.
them
They really
leaving,
like
yeah.
that. And then we have various special programs that they participate in, but they have their own set of programming that they do, and they do it quite enthusiastically, and you can hear them singing and laughing and
Yeah.
carrying on.
And could I add one more thing that's a little different, but it is
Yeah.
this week, April 15th, we're having a speaker come to the diner, and she's coming at 12:30 after everyone's had their lunch, and she's bringing a little dessert and talking about her agency and, you know, who would be able to, you know, use her agency. She's from
Excuse
Lowell.
me, Tina, April 15th is Light and Water, isn't it?
No, that's the next week.
No?
22nd.
Oh, next week, okay, sorry.
22nd.
April 15th
What's
is
the
tax
a-
day.
do you know what the agency
Didn't
is?
interfere with that.
What's the agency?
The agency's name is Humble Home Care.
Right.
And the director of that agency is Nancy Kabuthu. And so, you know, Pamela has met her and I've met her, and we thought this would be a nice opportunity for her just to come down and bring dessert and some of her brochures and talk to some people.
She's a non-medical home care.
Non-medical.
Very nice lady.
You're right,
Also the day
22nd
that
is
the,
Light and Water. Yeah.
Case Collaborative kids
I
came.
was off.
That was,
A lot of people showed up, and
yes,
that was really
quite a
nice.
big event.
It went a little over time.
It did.
A couple of people complained, but
Yeah.
they had no reason to, you know,
And the candy was
other than
wonderful.
Yeah,
to
well, they always
complain.
do a
But it
nice
was,
job.
it was
Depends.
really nice. It
Oh,
was
good.
really nice.
I do want to applaud Tina for that program, because not only is that intergenerational, this is having the special ed teachers bring in their kids
Yeah.
to our diner, but it also brings in kids who, again, may not have contact with grandparents. A lot of them have transportation issues, mobility issues, speech issues, and what have you. And it just, I think, was a great opportunity for everyone to get together.
Great.
Thank you, Tina.
Oh, you're welcome, and thank you, because it's great to have, and thank you to Case Collaborative and Carrie Bremer for the excellent job that she, her students, and staff do. They work all month on the little grab
I
bags and
know,
the
it-
projects that
yeah,
they
they
can't
have
wait to give all
Big
of them
projects
who
that they
attend.
work on,
Thinking
yeah.
about dexterity.
They do.
And the next one will be, it will be the last, it will be Friday, May 29th. So that's a different day of the week. It's, you know,
Yeah.
and that's just worked, that's what worked in their schedule that month.
This is just for my information. What were the special needs adults that were in the diner one day? I just walked in and they were there, and I didn't know
That's
what.
the Case
That's the
Collaborative
Case
kids.
Collaborative, middle school teenagers.
They're children. They're teenagers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but they were
they've-
children
they've-
there. I was a director of
big.
a mentally retarded adult agency. Yeah, they were older, but I was just surprised that they were there. I didn't understand what.
That's what she's talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
And the high school was wonderful, too.
Oh, yeah, that was-
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's really been helpful. Barbara, you're on. Senior Diner Bingo Report.
Dinah, I talked to Gail this morning, and she did not have any problems. The numbers are really good. And Gail was on vacation last week, and everything went smoothly, which you know, reflects on Gail's management skills and her volunteers.
Absolutely. They don't let every site fly solo.
I know, I know. So everything's fine, and bingo is running along smoothly, so everything's good.
Thank you.
Good.
That's good to hear. So we've had a lot of good things to hear today.
Keep it going.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 things.
Okay. Senior Communications, you're on, Mary.
Right, on the subject of mental capabilities, New England Center for Mental Health is located here in Littleton, and I have some flyers, and they cover adult services for family, Alzheimer's, all kinds of medical problems, and I'm giving Tina several, in case she wants them, flyers with lots of information in there. The other thing is, any senior diabetic that's on Medicare, I don't know if many of them are aware of it, but they're allowed 1 new pair of shoes per year and glasses per year. Many of those, I think, I'm not sure many of them know that.
I didn't. I didn't know it.
All right, there is also a new amplified phone that lets you hear and see the conversation for people that have hearing and visual problems. Have information on that. And
You're
the
going to pin
last,
that up on the bulletin board downstairs, the wellness board.
There was one at the fair, too, that somebody was advocating.
it's
Captain
advertised
Call,
in many,
yeah.
many papers, but I just wanted to bring it up because I think it's very, very interesting. The other thing is on the Cameron Theater, locally, we used to get free tickets on practice night. Otherwise, it's $20 for adults and $15 for seniors. I was wondering if we have to go ask them, or do they provide them anymore? Because we used to take part in taking the free tickets from the front office. They don't bother passing those out anymore?
They notified us that they changed their policy and that
Probably.
seniors have to pay even if they attend dress rehearsals. That was
Oh.
about 2 years ago.
Oh, okay. Westford has 6-day trips, which I won't go into. Accent COA is looking for a staff assistant to the director, 19 hours at $18.90 per hour. What interests me was the pay scale. Okay,
You
that's
thinking of
it.
applying? You thinking of applying?
I wish I could.
Who is this that's doing it?
I beg your pardon?
Which town?
Acton. Acton, COA.
Thank you. All right, I think we are done. Is there any other business that I'm unaware of?
I have to make one final comment about
Yes.
day trips. Park and Rec has a day trip that's going next month to the 9/11 Museum, and they have 4 people signed up for it. So it's going to be canceled. They need 40 people. So it's not just us that are having trouble getting people into trips. It just-
I notice that we've been putting them on the board, though, so that people know that they're happening. That's good.
Absolutely,
Good.
absolutely.
Well, Westford is Foxwood, Mohegan, Foxwood, Gloucester.
They may be advertising,
North Shore.
do we know how often they have to cancel, though? You might, just as,
Right, but they're
Hours
still
get out.
doing it. Yeah.
well,
I
they
think the
still.
casino
I
trips
know.
sometimes fill
Casino-
up, but
yes,
we
right.
post those. We post those on the bulletin board.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. We're a little over, but we did better than last month, I think, with 3:12.
I thought this was supposed to be 2 hours, 1:30 to 3:30.
I'm not
Supposed to
knowing
be
that.
an hour and a half. is
An
what
hour and a
we're
half.
aiming at.
Jean, are you making a motion to adjourn? Second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, aye, aye. Not in favor? Can't come up with a word.
Can't imagine it.
Sorry, yeah. Thank you all.